In this video, we'll look at the OKX Grid Trading Bots, what exactly they are, how to implement them, and then some of the pros and cons of actually using Grid Trading Bots. I've used these a lot, and I have some running at the moment, and so I know exactly the kind of outcomes that they give, and so I'll go through that in this video. Firstly, we'll go through what exactly a grid bot is and how it works. If you don't have OKX yet, I'll leave a link below as well. You can get up to 60K as a deposit bonus, basically a free trade there. You can check the details via the link below if you are new, but you can come to trade and then trading bots, and then here grid bots. So all of these are a version of a grid. What exactly is a grid? A grid bot trades in between an upper and lower bound for us, and it does it automatically, something that we couldn't personally do. So with a grid bot, what we're doing is telling the system there is an upper bound price and a lower bound price that you trade between, and it trades small intervals buying and selling between these two prices. So it doesn't just trade once at each interval and then, buy and sell and then forget it. What it does is that each price it will, buy and sell and reload the bids and offers the whole way, up and down like this. And so what it's trying to do is trade profitably between these two prices over and over and over again. So as long as the price stays between the upper and lower bound, we are making profits from those grids, and we can take those profits out of the bot. So we're using an amount of money to trade in between two prices and use the bot, the trading system, to do so, very quickly in something that we couldn't do personally because we can't sit there all day pressing buttons. Let's start with the spot grid bot then. Spot just means cash settled. So we have some stable coins and we're using that to trade crypto in the spot market. So the spot grid right here, how does this actually work? You can see this is a running grid bot. So you have all of the buy orders here, you have all of the sell orders, and they just refresh over and over and over again, buying and selling. Once you have a buy and a sell that are completed, that creates a grid as it's known. And so the profit from that goes back into the strategy. You can see many completed grids right here where you're getting a small amount back into the strategy as you've completed that grid bot. So if we go to OKX spot grid right here, we can press create, takes us through to the trading page, and it's on the right hand side. Now, the first thing we can do is press AI strategy. Now, this isn't really AI, but it's just the system that has back tested some specific strategies, and it's found the best way to, make the most profits. Now, the problem here is that previous price action is not going to repeat itself in the future. And so just because this one was good over the last couple of months doesn't mean it will be good over the next couple of months. So we can copy those if we want. So if we press copy, what happens is it flicks over to manual, and then it shows us the parameters of the bot. Now, the parameters of the bot are obviously vital in determining what the yield we get is. And we can change these manually ourselves, which I'll get onto in a second. But there are some parameters that you have to choose. So the first one is, what is the price range that you trade in between? Right? So if the price now is 40,000, do you trade between 30 and 50,000, or do you trade between 20 and 60,000? You can choose that. That is going to change how much money you have at certain trades within the bot. Then you can choose the grid mode and the amount of grids. So between a certain price range, you can choose to have 2 grids or 200 grids. And all of this is going to affect how often the bot trades, and the profit per grid and how much in general that it's going to yield you. So you can change all of that. If you don't want to, and you just want to put in a grid bot that's performed well recently, come down here, press create, choose the amount that you want to put in, press create, and it will do. But we'll get on to the manual settings now. When choosing the parameters of the bot, we just have to figure out how much money that we have to trade and where we want to put it. Because the price range of your bot and the amount of grids is going to change how much we make per trade, right? So if you have a grid bot which has a very wide range, you're going to have to split your dollars up between that range, which means each of your trades is going to be smaller. You're diluting your capital over a larger area. If you have a much smaller range, then your capital is going to be concentrated within that range. You can trade bigger amounts, and so you can make more profits in terms of the nominal amount that you're actually making, right? And so how do you want to concentrate your capital within that grid bot? Because we don't want to spread it too thinly and have a lot of our capital around that isn't really trading, right? So this sounds a little bit more complex than it is. We just have to choose a range. If the price of Bitcoin right now is, let's say, 40,000, what we can do is have a range 5,000 each side, right? So 35,000, and then the upper limit would be 45,000. Now you can choose the amount of grids that you trade within, right? So we can choose a mode here, which is either arithmetic or geometric. So again, sounds more complex than it is. Let's do 20 grids, right? And what you can see here is that the profit per grid is around 1%, right? So as long as we get a 1% movement, so we buy, 1% up, we sell, 1% down, we buy again, we sell at 1% increments. You can see the profit per grid here is not exactly 1%, it may change. The reason is we've chosen arithmetic. That means there is a specific price difference between each of the grids. And if there's a specific price difference between the grids, then the percentage per grid based on the current price changes a little bit, right? Because 200 is a different percentage of 40K versus 30K. You can also choose just a specific percent difference per grid. So we can change geometric. And as you can see, the profit per grid is 1.06% per grid. Again, that will change because 1% up here is obviously a different dollar amount than it is at a cheaper price. Which one should you choose? Doesn't matter too much, right? You're looking at you're looking at kind of 20 basis points as a difference here. So maybe, doesn't really matter. So we'll just choose geometric, and we know a specific price difference per grid. And we know each grid, if we trade a certain amount, we'll get a certain profit in dollars. So the investment amount you can change here, right? So you just put an amount in and then start that grid. And as you can see, what happens is that the price will now, the bot will now trade between these prices, right? So you can see all of the buys and sells. Now, these will reload over time as well. So if this is hit and there's a buy, you'll get a sell order at these prices as well. Within this trading range, you'll buy and sell between these grids. So as long as you buy one and the price goes up a 1%, you'll have the sell order there to finish that grid as a 1% grid. This is where you need to choose how long you want to run the bot for, because that's important. So we've got a $5,000 difference between lower and upper bound. That could easily be traded within the next few weeks or months, right? And so you could easily trade within this and then actually go out of this range within a couple of weeks or months. So if you're looking to trade slightly more actively and you think the price is going to be pretty volatile over the next few weeks, then have it very small. If you're looking for just a set and forget kind of thing and you just want to put some money in and forget about it for a few years, you're going to have a much wider grid because you want to take advantage of that. That potentially reduces the profit per grid, but you need to run the strategy, because if the price comes outside of the grid up here or down here, it won't trade. And so you won't be making any trading profits out of that. So it's a game of how long do you want the bot open, and how volatile do you think the price will go in between from now to when you close it. So you have to decide that for yourself. There are some other types of bot like Moon Bot, which OKX does, which may be more suitable if you want a longer term bot. Grid bots may be more suitable for some slightly shorter term trading where you think the price is going to be volatile and you just want to take advantage of that. In my experience, running bots, they do exactly what they say they are supposed to do, which is trade and make profits from grids. This is one I've had running a long time just to show people what a live bot would actually look like. This has made around 4% yield from trading Bitcoin, right? So the yield it's taken is all of the grids buying and selling over and over. It's running at around 4% annually. So it's making me 4% more through running the bot. Now you can see here there is a small profit in the bot as well, because the price from when I started the bot to when I'm still running it now is up a little bit as well. During that time, the bot was actually in a loss for a long time through the bear market, which was good for me because as the price came down, the bot was still trading and taking profits, but also reducing the price at which it bought Bitcoin, which is a great strategy to have throughout the bear market. Now, I did some back tests on this. It absolutely outperformed a lump sum investment strategy. So if I just put the same amount of money in when I started the bot and left it, I would have made less money because I wouldn't be trading and making these profits. And so I would have made less money like that. If I just dollar cost averaged and essentially bought Bitcoin at these levels and put more money in over time, then I would outperform the bot because I'm just buying at those levels and not selling, and then the price has gone up. So grid bots aren't like a panacea. They can't beat every type of strategy, but if you specifically want to trade profits, they actually do what they say they do in my experience. There are some advanced settings on OKX as well, which you may need to look at. The first one is trailing settings. This one is actually attempting to trail the price either up or down. So if you're in a long bot, which this is, it's a spot cash settled bot. So we're going to be buying and selling. What you can do is trail up. So if the price moves up outside of your bot, the bot actually just trails it upwards. And so it moves the bot parameters up in price, which is great because it means we can concentrate our bot in a smaller range. But if the price does move up, we actually follow it with that range. So that's actually a really great strategy to concentrate our money in a tighter range, but then still not have to change the parameters all of the time. You can also trade it down as well if you want, which is trading down here. So this is a way to actually, get rid of that thing where you have to, spread out your capital over a much larger range. You can actually trail it with the same range. So you can put that on or off if you want. The start condition here, I would just leave on instant. You can muck around with this, but you either want to start the bot or you don't. You can start it at a specific price. So the first trade would come in at any price that you set. You can set the trigger price there, but instantly would just start the bot at whatever price that it's trading here. So it would have a buy as soon as you put that in. And then the stop condition here, manual as well. So you can manually stop it, or you can set a price at which the bot stops. So if the bot does move up and you're not trading it, it stops right here, and you can stop the bot trading. Remember that if the price goes up here, the bot that you set with the parameters will still be active. So the price can go up and then fall back into the parameters that you set and start trading again. If you don't want that, you can have a stop condition here where you set a price where it just stops the bot. Now, if you do have that stop condition, then you have to choose this to either sell all of the crypto out when you stop, or to not do that. So if you sell all at once, any crypto that's still in the bot for the crypto that you're trading, that will be sold out back into dollars and put in your account. If you don't do that, then of course it will just keep whatever the crypto and stable coin that you're trading with in your account. It won't sell out. So you can put that there. The take profit and stop loss as well. This is a take profit is above the price, of course, if you're trading spot, a price where you stop the bot. So eventually, if you get to a price, the bot will stop, and then the bot will trade out of everything back into the stablecoin into your account. On the low side, you can choose a price here that the bot stops, right? Because if the price comes down, it may come up again and the bot starts running again. You can say, if the price gets down to this level, stop the bot, sell out all the crypto and put that back in my account. So that's what TP and SL are. Again, you don't have to choose those. Once you're happy with the bot parameters, you can then start the grid bot and press create. So down here, we'll press create. You can check all of the parameters that you've set and the amount. So we'll just confirm that. And the bot created here. So we press OK. And then you can see the bot running, right? So we've already made a trade, I believe. If we've started, you can see the order time and the price range, the grid quantity and the P&L. And then, the reference period, the amount of arbitrages, that's the amount of grids, right? So one grid would be one arbitrage. They call it arbitrage, but it's really a buy and a sell. And you can see everything here. You can change the TPSL if you want to stop the bot, certain parameters. The creator was me. There's, I think, a creation page where you can copy other traders, but you can obviously create one yourself. If you do want to stop it, that's right here. So we'll just press stop, stop the bot and sell, or stop the bot without selling. Because I was trading BTC here, I bought some. So you can either just keep that in or sell out to dollars. So I'll just sell out to dollars, press confirm, and that'll trade out of the bot. The futures grid is the exact same type of thing as the spot grid, only we're trading in the futures market, and that gives us some different trading options. So we'll press futures grid, and from here we have a different type of bot where we can go long, short, or neutral. So with spot grid, we only go long, right? We buy first, and then we're looking to sell, trade, and buy. With the futures grid, you can have a long bot, which attempts only to buy first and then sell that grid at a higher level. So it'll only buy first to open a grid and then sell at a higher level. Short means it will only sell first and look back to close the grid at a lower level, right? So you can do that in futures because you can go long or short easily. You don't have to cash settle. So you can start by going long, you can start by going short, which is actually selling high and buying lower. So the opposite way around of a long. Neutral is where you have the grid bot And then you have kind of a mid price in the middle, right? And so anything underneath that, it's going to look to go long first and then sell higher. Anything above the midline, it's going to look to sell first and buy back lower. This is more one where you think the price is going to be volatile within a range. And so you want a neutral grid, right? So you think the price is just going to trade within this range. That's the mid price. And you want to be kind of selling this and buying this into the mid, right? And so with long and short, you're biased towards either thinking that the price is probably going to go up, so you want to buy first and sell higher. Short is where, shorting first because you think the price is maybe going to come down, so you want to take those short positions first. Everything else is very similar to the spot grid bot, but with futures, of course, we have to think about leverage. You can take leverage, you don't have to use leverage. With futures, you are not using cash to buy crypto. You are just trading the price of crypto. And so the way that we do that is by putting an amount of money into the system, into the platform, to collateralize or fund any potential losses that we may make, right? So what we can do here, leverage and margin, is trade with an amount of leverage. So if you have $1,000 and you use 5x leverage, you can actually take trades that are worth $5,000. The benefit of that is that, of course, you can make more money on your $1,000 because you're now trading with 5,000. The downside is that, of course, you may lose money more quickly, right? So what we can know if we use 5x leverage is that if the price goes down around 20%, right? If we're trading with $5,000 and the price goes down 20% and we've got $1,000 of cash to settle losses, we're going to basically be out of our trade, right? We've lost all our money. So leverage makes wins and losses much quicker and more, right? So it's not for everyone and definitely not for beginners, and I can't recommend it. You can change this to 1x leverage, which means no leverage at all, so you don't have to worry about it. If you're using leverage, of course, you can make quicker profits and much quicker losses, and you can make 100% loss very quickly if you're using, 10x leverage. With 10x, basically a 10% or so movement in the price wrecks you. If you've got $1,000 and you're trading with $10,000 in the market, 10% of 10,000 is $1,000. And so a 10% move away from your price and a loss wipes out your trade, right? So it's much more volatile and risky to do that. You don't have to trade with leverage, but you can if you want. So an important thing with trading with leverage is this is definitely for shorter term trading, because there are just issues here. So if you have a shorter term trade where you're in with leverage, what you have to make sure is that this 5x leverage, if you're making a loss, doesn't wreck you. Because let's say a 20% loss to the downside would, be your trade completely wrecked, right? So that's your grid right here that you're trading. And a 20% move to the downside, your grid's totally wrecked, you lost all your money. The important thing is you're not using too much leverage where the liquidation is actually within your grid bot, right? So let's say your grid bot starts here and the price up and down is 30%, right? So 30% up, 30% down, that's your grid bot and you're trading within that. Well, if you're using 5x leverage, your liquidation is 20%. So your liquidation could be within the grid bot parameters. Well, that's obviously crazy and that's not set up correctly. So the one thing is work out where is your liquidation position, right? If you're using 10x leverage, that's around 10%. 5x leverage, it's around 20% and so on. And so just make sure that your leverage, your liquidation, if you're using leverage, isn't within a grid bot, because that's obviously not setting the grid bot up there correctly. But leverage is used for shorter term trading. So if you're looking to take, a shorter term trade right here, you think it's going to be volatile, then that may work for some people. You can go long and short as well with these bots. So if you have a bias, you think the price is going to come down or go up or trade in a range, you can trade all of that with the futures position. The Infinity Grid Bot is for much longer term trading and for trading when you think there's going to be a bull market over a few years, so the price is going up. Spot grids, slightly shorter term. Futures grids, very short term. Infinity Grid, longer term, where you just want to put some money in and you think the price will melt upwards with volatility. So you can choose a bottom price. So let's choose that. And then there's no upper price limit. So you can choose the profit per grid, let's say a 1% profit per grid, and then the investment amount. And you can see that the minimum investment amount is larger because you're having to spread your capital out over a larger amount of price levels, right? So there are more trades here and you can see them at 1% intervals. So this is for longer term, where you think the price over the next year or 18 months probably going to go up, but you want to try and take some grids out of it. So it's different than a grid bot, which has the upper bound. This won't, and so it will just keep trading those 1% profits to the upside. However, down here, that's the lower bound where you stop buying, right? So you have to have an area where you want to stop. And remember that if the price comes down, just down only, and you buy lots of Bitcoin here or the other crypto, right, then you're going to be in a loss, right? So you won't be able to trade if the price doesn't get up. So it's definitely for kind of bull markets where you think price is generally going to go up, but you don't know about the volatility, right? A lot of people say, should I buy now or should I not buy? Or, is the price going to go down a little bit further? And they know it's going to go up at some point. Well, having a grid bot takes that out of the mix, right? You don't have to worry about it. So it may be, a better option if you're unsure about what the price is going to do. Now, if the price does come down, and of course you don't want to make a loss, you can have a stop loss here. So tick this on. Stop loss price could be 30,000, right? So you enter the bot at, around here, and you're buying all of these, but eventually, if you are making a loss, you can sell out of the crypto there and stop further losses. That could be okay if you want to stop that. But again, this is more of a kind of investment bot almost. And so you may just want to let it run and eventually come back into the bot at some point in the future. The Moon Grid Bot is just a simple grid bot, but it chooses the parameters for you and it's very wide ranging. So if you press Moon Grid, come into this, you'll see that you cannot choose any of the parameters. You just choose how much you invest, like this. And then the grid quantity is high and the price range is very wide, right? So a very, very long-term grid bot that's trying to just take small profits out. And you can see the annual yield for this was apparently 10%. And that's because the price has been very volatile recently, and so very good for the bot. But of course, that may not continue. So why should you use grid bots? Grid bots are really good at one thing, which is earning a yield out of volatility within a certain set price range. So I think grid bots work best when you know that the price is going to trade within this, and it's going to do this, and you're trying to take 5% out of trading. Now, they're going to massively underperform in a big bull market where you're just better off buying an amount and waiting for the price to go up 100%. That's obviously going to outperform, right? So they can't do anything, out and above what they're supposed to do, which is essentially take small profits out of volatility within a set range. They're very good at doing that. They definitely work, but it's not to say that they're going to outperform other types of strategy like buying the most that you can in a bull market. So they do what they are supposed to do, but of course it's up to us to decide what type of market that we're in, how the price is going to behave, and if we should use these grid bots or if we should just dollar cost average and buy or buy and hold or anything else. So the strategy is still left up to us, but these grid bots do exactly what they're supposed to do. I'll leave the deposit and trading bonus link to OKX down below if you don't have an account yet. I'm James, this is MindZG. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.